possum just to decide a conspicuous moo. And I'm back from a couple of days of food poisoning. Not a great weight loss regimen. Don't recommend it. 0 out of 10. Because I just wanted to do a quick video pre-Christmas about simming, because I've had a couple of questions about simming, and I've had a couple of comments about, I simmed this and this is what I got. And so I thought I'd just give you a very, very basic overview, because my understanding of it is fairly basic as well. So I'll go over what I use, how I use it, when I use it, that sort of thing. Let's get cracking. So what's all this simming lark about? Well, simming became particularly notorious during BFA because of the huge amount of variables which are involved in Azerite armor. And every time you got a piece, you also not only had to sim if this new piece of armor was any better, but whether the certain traits and combinations on those pieces of armor were actually better as well. It led to a lot of simming. One of the reasons I left is because I spent more time actually simulating than actually playing the game. Simming itself is usually a DPS pursuit, and it is really the pursuit of how much DPS can I squeeze out of all of my gears and my talents and my covenant choices and everything. It is a best case scenario. It usually comes across in several builds. Patchwork is the classic build where it's just patchwork, standing there, taking it, you're firing at it, it tries to work out, what's your most possible damage that you can do. It's not used to maximize your tankiness, your healing, survivability, sex appeal, your favorite color M&M, nothing like that. The main reason because of that is because with DPS it's very straightforward. You aim, you fire, we're assuming that, you're hitting it. When it comes to a healer, you may have to react to things which aren't, particularly scriptable. Usually DPS, standing and fire, or, needing to be battle resed, or you're going to have to hit a cooldown because everyone else forgot to hit theirs. That's not particularly simmable. And tanks have the similar problem as well. All of a sudden one of the melee screws up, accidentally hits taunt. Never not funny. And, that's something that cannot be replicated reliably in a simming environment. This is why it's only DPS. It's just keep it nice, straight, and simple. Now, for myself, I use SimulationCraft as an add-on that I put into my WoW add-ons folder. And then I use Raidbots to actually work out, which ones are the best DPS options, which are the best gear options, etc. Bloodmallet is also recommended, so we should go to Bloodmallet now. For those of you who aren't, I must sim best DPS, crunch numbers individually. You can just go to Bloodmallet. Now, Bloodmallet's a very simple site. You just go there, you choose, your class, your spec, what you're particularly interested in, soulbinds, conduits, trinkets. In this case it's trinkets, and it'll just give you this. This is the latest build that they put out that, I think this was from yesterday I took this shot, of all the different trinkets that are currently available in the game that Brewmasters can use, which will do the maximum amount of damage, which is why you're there. So if you just want a snapshot and you can't be too bothered with the whole simming thing, Bloodmallet's fine. That'll give you a very good idea. But if you want a more personal feel to it, then you're going to have to sim yourself. But first of all, I think the more important question is, do you really want to? Simming is a personal choice. You can go to Bloodmallet, get the best trinkets for all Brewmasters, and you should be fine. If you want it a little more personalized, then you would go with something like simming. So, if on the other hand you're not particularly interested in your DPS output, you're a heavily defensively minded tank, you're not having threat issues, then, there's no point in you simming at all. Don't bother. Stick to the stat priority, which is currently it's just eye level, then verse, crit, mastery, haste over there. That's it. You're done. If you are interested in it, or if you are having threat issues, or if doing more DPS is important to you in your setting, more Mythic Plus really, when you're trying to time keys and stuff, and you have, a number of different items when you're not really sure which one is best, if you have like Fire of Putrefaction, Grim Codex, you've got the Anima Charged Decanter, and that crazy one with the 3 question marks. What's it called? You know the one I mean. The one-handed, two-handed weapons, and they've got haste and versatility, but at a slightly higher eye level, so I'm not sure whether one's stronger or not. That's when you might want to sim. Now to start simming, it's quite straightforward. First of all, you need to go and get the SimulationCraft add-on. Now, this is an add-on just like any other, like LVI, like Tell Me When, like WeCores, and just install it the way that you normally do. Now, I use WoW Up because it's small, reliable, works properly. kind of ticks all my boxes there. Now, once you're actually in the game, the first thing you need to do to be sure that you're going to get the right results is make sure, and I know this is obvious, but make sure that you have all the things, you're actually equipped in the class and spec that you want to be analysed in. There's no point in simming yourself with a fishing pole, for example. And make sure that all the other things that you want to compare it with, like other trinkets and weapons, different pieces of gear, make sure they're all actually in your bags, not in the bank, because when you actually run the simulation craft, it's going to take all the inventory from your bags, and if you don't have them in there, then it doesn't have anything to sim with. Once you get into the game and you're ready to go, /simc and enter, a pop-up box should come up, and it'll just have like a string, Control-C, and you've copied all of the data that SimulationCraft is going to need. Now the reason why I do it this way at the moment is because when I go to Raidbots, it's a lot more comfortable with me actually using that string itself as opposed to importing it from Armory, because I think they still have some Covenant upload issues, and this captures that. So that's why I do it personally. Once we get to Raidbots, which is a lovely site, there are a number of different options that you can do here. Now, stat weights apparently are not as important as they used to be, so I don't really touch those. I will usually go for top gear combinations if I have acquired a large amount of different pieces of gear and I'm not really sure where I'm going with it, after a number of Mythic Plus runs, for example. Gear compare is usually the one that I mostly go for, because I can take my entire gear set and then I can, say, add a trinket or a weapon from a dungeon which I don't have yet and sim it and see if it's actually worth going after. The other one is Droptimizer, find your best drops. Now, the only disadvantage of Droptimizer at the moment is that you will have to pay monies to them in order to do more than one dungeon at a time. So you can do the Droptimizer if you want, but you can't do all of the dungeons at once. It won't let you do that unless you give them money. So if you want to pay them, sign up for Raidbots. It's right there. You can do it. It's up to you. I'm not going to, though. So once you have your options, you just go to the Load from SimC add-on, Control-V, put all your details in, and it'll pick up all sorts of things. It's picked up my fishing rod and my ancient panda and mining pick, but it's not going to include those in the simulation, obviously, because they're just not top DPS. They just aren't. So on a gear compare, for example, here you have your original gear set, and then you can add additional gear sets underneath, and it will include your initial hit of all of your different items, and then anything that you want to add on instead. So in this case, Poxstorm, which drops from Plaguefall, the Longsword of Pestilence. I heard vicious rumours that this was actually really quite good, because I had haste in it, so I just got, I'm not interested in that, but it does have a proc now, which does additional DPS, so I thought I'd look into it. You can add the enchant as well, and the item level, so if you're expecting something. I mean, I'd be happy with a 171 right now. I'm not going well with weapons. Then there's other things like Stone General's Edge, so I just went through all of the dungeons with the one-handers, which could be possibly useful. I can run them all at once, and then I just let it tick in the background. Now, when you're doing it free of charge, it might take a few minutes to come through for your results, but at the end of it, you'll get something like this. And, it'll come up with some interesting surprises. So, yes, I mean, on this particular simulation, Poxstorm, Longsword of Pestilence came out on top. Not by very much. Certainly not enough for me to run Plaguefall constantly with, trying to skip trash with people I don't really know, and then they pull the trash, and we all die, and we have a laugh when we go back again. I hate that dungeon so much. But, I do other sims as well, just to find out, how I was going. I did a best gear yesterday, and got a surprise, because Hymnal of the Path. Now, you might have recalled I was talking about this a couple of weeks ago, about this mystery trinket that dropped in Bastion from a world quest called Hymnal of the Path, and we sort of went, that's a bit odd. And it's because people were being a bit cryptic about it, saying, there's this trinket out there that seems to be quite good, you might be interested in it. So, I put the shout out saying, if you find it, let me know how you go. And, as we go back to the Bloodmallet again, you can see Hymnal of the Path. It's actually really, really good. I mean, that's at eye level 200. So if you're fortunate enough, you have a high enough eye level that you're getting eye level 200 world drops, keep an eye out for a Hymnal. It is a rather good trinket if you can get hold of it. I think the one I got it from was the Bastion one, where you have the 5 stewards and you have to direct them to the bits of broken glass and the climbing up the things. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. Just a little aside there, just a little hint along the way. But the fact that it does damage if you're healthy and actually heals you when you're not, it's very good. Yes, so I hope that helped. Keep an eye out for the hymnal, because that's definitely a go, but you know, basically I just wanted to give you an introduction. That's how I do it. I don't go into any great detail about it, but it does give me an idea of where I am, what I should be aiming for, and it does occasionally come up with some surprises as well, which I wasn't really expecting. So yes, do all have a very, very Merry Christmas. So I think I might have just recovered in time to drink, which will be very nice indeed. As Brewmasters, we can always handle our beverages anyway. And I will see you after the festivities. But until then, I am the Conspicuous Moo, and a very Merry Christmas to you.